Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia help a disabled Rohingya refugee who became homeless. A partially paralyzed man undergoes volunteer training thanks to Tzu Chi volunteers' help. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Sue. Thank you for joining us. In Ecuador, the construction of the religious complex has started. The Church of Canoa will be rebuilt by using a fortifying technique seldom used in Ecuador. The completion of the dormitories for the nuns and priests is set for fall of 2018.
Canoa was becoming one of the main tourist destination points, but with the earthquake, the tourism came to a sudden halt. Tzu Chi came to help here in Canoa. They realized that the church was severely damaged and that it was going to be demolished by the government.
This is the school?
School over there, right?
This is the father's house, this one. They're gonna receive classes here and they're gonna have a playground.
The project is a religious complex. It consists of a church, which is the most significant part of the project. However, due to the construction reasons, we'll first start building the residence area.
What we have done so far is soil substitution, which is the most crucial part of forming the foundation. We can see the type of soil that was originally there, which cannot withstand the weight of the structure. That is why it is so necessary to improve it.
There are countless reinforcements. Traditionally, this type of construction method is not common in the country.
This stirrup that we are using is 10 mm wide. One of the main reasons for so much damage from the earthquake was that these rods were omitted in most buildings. Today, we will be using this type of columns here so that we have a very solid and secure structure.
By the end of September.
You're going to deliver both sisters and fathers to dormitory so they can happily move in.
Our commitment was to have the Christmas Mass in the church.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the living room, and here's the dining room. This area would be the kitchen.
During mealtime, we were speaking with the sisters and had asked who the cook was. They said that all three of them take turns cooking. They had expressed that they hope for a comfortable kitchen space, which the construction crew is planning on, so that made the sisters very happy.
I am a Tzu Chi volunteer from Canoa. It's been more than a year already. I want to thank the foundation and Master Zhen Yan for caring about the people of Canoa. Thank you for hiring us to work and have a source of income for our families.
The foundation is a very serious one. They really want to help others and are seriously doing the work. This is great because there's a lot of need.
The starting of the construction of the church has totally lifted the morale of the people here in Canoa because it's a very symbolic project for them. It means that they can once again believe that Canoa can thrive as a tourist destination.
In Malaysia, a car accident affected the spine of a Rohingya refugee who has since been confined to a wheelchair. Since moving to Kuala Lumpur 2 years ago, his wife supported the family by doing odd jobs. They then became homeless because they could not afford the rent. So the volunteers rushed to help this family find a place to live.
Under these street lights, this hidden corner of the city was where this Rohingya family lived.
During this period, we had to wander and be homeless. It was hard when it rained as there was no place to hide. It's also hard for me to move and go up and down stairs. One of my children wants milk and another wants rice.
Because they were not able to pay the rent, Abdul Munaf's family of 6 spent 3 months on the streets. Tzu Chi volunteers from Kuala Lumpur and Selangor received news of the family's condition and took immediate action.
We contacted the UNHCR and communicate about giving them the appropriate help so that they have at least the basic necessities and security.
To protect the family from the elements, a suitable apartment was found so that the children could at least get a good night's rest.
Where will I sleep tonight? I will sleep here in this room. The children sometimes sleep in the prayer rooms and wash in public toilets. Sometimes their food is just some bread or a cookie.
2 years ago, a car accident affected his spine, and the family moved from Penang to Kuala Lumpur. As he did not receive proper treatment for his injury, he has become wheelchair-bound. The next day, volunteers sent living supplies and a doctor assisted him in doing some rehabilitation. It's not easy for refugees to live in a strange land, and Tzu Chi volunteers are providing the care and compassion to look after their safety and peace of mind.
In Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteers have distributed supplies for residents in Selinsing as they prepare to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. Since many of the recipients are single mothers, solitary seniors, or unemployed residents, these supplies mean a lot to them. To prepare for Eid al-Fitr, Indonesia Tzu Chi volunteers have come to Selinsing to find out what these families need for the new year.
We are distributing supplies in 2 districts. In one of the districts, we distributed 400 sets of supplies. Most of the residents are fishermen. The other place is under a bridge. We distributed 250 supply vouchers to people who scavenge for a living.
In the past, the prices for the general household goods in Jakarta rise around Eid al-Fitr. This creates a heavy burden for impoverished families. Therefore, Tzu Chi has joined hands with the local monastery to provide them daily supplies.
We are grateful to be able to work with Tzu Chi. Through this cooperation, we can help the impoverished residents.
The volunteers have discovered that most of the recipients are old and feeble. Therefore, they dispatched some volunteers to help the residents carry the goods home.
I'm grateful to God. I'm also grateful to the assistance provided by Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter.
People in our neighborhood have unstable incomes. Therefore, we are glad to receive the supplies. Although you have a different religious faith, we care about each other. I'm deeply touched by this.
Tzu Chi volunteers hope these supplies can lessen the financial burdens of the residents as they prepare to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. Tzu Chi liaison offices in different communities in Malaysia hosted pilgrimages and Buddha Day ceremonies on the day of Vesak. Children also took the chance to serve tea to their parents to show gratitude. In addition, Singguang School hosted their first Buddha Day ceremony, which has deeply touched many teachers and students.
Vesak is a national holiday of Malaysia. Tzu Chi Perak chapter hosted a prostrating pilgrimage for the 9th year. Everyone works together to clean and pick up miscellaneous items on the street. Some even take the mop to dry out the water on the road. Volunteers formed a solemn formation before the sun comes out and bow after every 3 steps. Lai Kai Hong returns to Ipoh to visit his ill mother, and he took the time to participate in the pilgrimage.
It hurts to kneel down on the road, and both my feet and hands were hurt. However, I believe the pain I felt is nothing compared to the pain of my mother's suffering right now.
Here, Tzu Chi volunteers in Kulai brought the mobile Buddha Day ceremony to the nursing home for the elders.
I'm very happy and thankful to the Tzu Chi volunteers for coming here to take care of me. I'm very grateful.
Not just at the plaza, volunteers also brought the mobile Buddha Day ceremony into the hospital wards to pray for the patients and their families.
Because of your visits to the hospital, I'm very happy now.
I hope my husband can recover soon. I can only pray to the Buddha to let him get well soon. I believe the Buddha will help me.
The liaison office in Deran Pontian also hosted tea ceremony for children to give thanks to their parents.
I felt especially touched because my child seldom served me tea. Then I thought about myself. Being a parent myself, I've never properly served tea to my parents as well.
On the day of the Vesak, people give thanks to the Buddha and their parents. Xinhuang School invited Tzu Chi volunteers to teach students about filial piety through the Buddhist ceremony.
This year, the event is an innovation for the students, so they are very excited and cheerful. I'm very touched today for having a chance to show filial piety.
In the old days, rice had to be dried in the sun for a few days before it was shelled into white rice. Now with machines, this process can be done within a day. One farmer in Taichung's Waipu switched to this traditional method because his wife developed cancer. They're not afraid of the extra work in order to supply people with better quality food.
When the sun shines in the summer, it takes about 3 to 5 days.
The traditional village scene shown here in Taichung's Waipu is quite rare nowadays.
We use the sun and this doesn't consume any energy.
Machines can dry this rice quickly in a day, but Chen Kunrong still prefers to use the most laborious and time-consuming method.
Originally, it was just for us to eat, but then the neighbors and friends said they wanted some that was sun-dried, so why don't I sell it?
This sun-dried rice doesn't need to be sold through the Farmers Association, as it is sold directly to neighbors.
It tastes much better. Without pesticides, it's much better.
To care for the earth, the sun-dried rice utilizes organic pesticide-free cultivation.
We use organic farming principles because we can't violate our own conscience. I spoke to the heavens and said that as long as I'm around, I'll safeguard the health of others.
Wu Lixue was diagnosed with cancer 20 years ago. Since then, she has been more concerned with food safety than others.
I also thought about improving the health of others.
The shelled rice is of different sizes, with some being black and white. It also has to go through several more procedures. Carefully paying attention to each detail, Chen Kunrong works diligently. After taking out small grains of rice, it goes through a machine to separate the black rice. Organic rice grown without pesticides may be less attractive and more labor is needed, but it is safer to eat. Chen and his son are both committed to this practice.
What the ancestors passed down to us is not bad. Actually, it's more healthy.
It was hard to convince the neighboring landowner to also undertake organic farming.
To create a nature area, if you don't use pesticides, then I shouldn't use pesticides, but the harvest has decreased.
Ducks can even grow in these rice fields, which proves they are toxin-free.
Using too many machines to replace human labor can destroy the natural ecology.
While most people seek greater efficiency to reduce their workload, they may be turning their backs on the wisdom of their ancestors, who once worked in harmony with the earth.
Had a car accident 6 years ago, which left him partially paralyzed. Tzu Chi volunteers have been accompanying him for many years and even invited him to undergo Tzu Chi commissioner training.
He is paralyzed on one side of his body and only the left side is functioning. He is unable to put on pants but is able to take them off. so I have to come and help him put on volunteer training uniform, including underwear.
今年算第5年了，我们没有时间表。
He is willing to help me now that he has invited me to attend the class. How can I say no? So why not go with him?
He injured his brain in a car accident, which left him paralyzed on one side of his body. When I first met him, he could only nod his head.
Because of his physical needs, he needs to use the toilet at any given time. Stand back here will not bother any class participants and easier on him.
I was also paralyzed at one point, but I was more fortunate because I recovered in a short amount of time. I'm still doing physical therapy right now, since many of our team members who were once paralyzed, got injured, and even had strokes. We all treat him like a brother. It will take you a longer time to become a certified Tzu Chi commissioner, but you are on the right path. We will get there sooner or later. When facing people with brain injuries, we should keep talking to them, even if they respond only with one sentence. It doesn't even matter if they don't respond. The most important thing is that they are listening. Mr. Zhong's mother said that since his son was badly injured in a car accident, it's a miracle that he survived. Being able to see her son talking and smiling, her mother has become happier and looks much younger.
My husband has passed away and my son has his health issues. Tzu Chi has helped us so much, so I thought that I really needed to reciprocate Tzu Chi's generosity. So I decided to come here to do recycling. I never believed that $180 a month could help people, but I was wrong. It wasn't until we received the help that I realized it does help. Any little money accumulated over time can save a family.
On June 7th, a fire in Zhanghua broke out and frightened many residents. Tzu Chi volunteers want to show their care right away. Meanwhile, in Dajia district, a named man, Mr. Chen, passed away due to electric shock. Tzu Chi volunteers reached out to help Mrs. Chen plan the funeral.
In a modern city, some people still live a primitive life. Boiling the water to cook and shower, there is no bathroom or kitchen in the house. This crude wooden house is the home of a family of 3.
We took a shower here during the winter. He also took shower here. It's been 6 years.
Mr. Chen was providing for the family. However, fate has took him away when he had an electronic shock when using an electric saw.
His clothes were wet and his body too. When he plugged the electric saw into the outlet, he had an electric shock and died.
The son, who is in high school, was also mildly injured when he tried to save his father. The Chen family has financial difficulties, so they weren't able to pay for the funeral. When the news broke out through the internet, some members of the public and Tzu Chi volunteers came to show support.
We gather emergency fund first to plan the funeral. We will also evaluate how we can continue to care for this impoverished family.
In another area, a Zhanghua rural community, a sheet metal house had a fire which had burned neighbors' homes. Luckily, no one was hurt. Tzu Chi volunteers received the news and immediately went to care for the frightened residents.
To keep the earth clean for future generations, Tzu Chi volunteers participated in a beach cleanup. They used the weekend to promote recycling with poster boards.
On this beach, people of all ages and sexes are working together to clean up the garbage.
We can help the turtles. If we clean up all this garbage, the turtles can live much longer.
There are straws, fishing nets, and PET bottles.
We have to protect marine life and not let them be threatened by garbage.
The Miaoli Holong Beach cleanup activity was attended by parents and students from Holong Junior High, which was part of the Project Hope, along with Tzu Chi volunteers and environmental volunteers, with nearly 200 people participating.
This stretch of beach has become very beautiful. Thank you all.
We have to start with ourselves. We need to reduce garbage and help the environment, returning the earth to its original state.
The beach cleanup was a success. At the end, everyone is dancing and doing these sign language songs. Their happiness is letting many to forget how tired they are. Also showing their dedication to recycling, Tzu Chi volunteers at the Trenshi recycling station took to the street with signboards to promote recycling. Volunteers went all the way to the famous Rainbow Village and shared their belief in recycling to both domestic and foreign tourists. In addition to this outreach program, volunteers at the Trenshi recycling station never stopped working as they work hard to keep the earth clean at all times.
Tzu Chi members in northern Taiwan held a two-day training event. The goal was for the participants to get a better understanding of Tzu Chi missions.
Tzu Chi members conducted a two-day training event where they started the activities from the National Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. At the Nehu grounds, they talked about recycling. At the Santong grounds, they learned about table manners. At the Da'an Tzu Chi office, they learned all about humanistic culture and reflected back on each of their own experiences throughout the two-day event.
When you meet someone in Tzu Chi, it's like an instant connection and the bond that has been created.
Don't be afraid to go out there and do things. It's when you go do things, make some mistakes, that is how you ultimately learn and can ask the right questions.
The Tzu Chi teams in the northern area of Taiwan specially set up this two-day training event to connect with other schools' Tzu Chi clubs. This is a great way for networking and to share mutual experiences and hardships as a Tzu Chi member.
Everyone is so forthcoming and nice. Everyone is so accepting in nature, and we can all learn from one another. Being a Tzu Chi member, I feel like I can be myself, be accepted for my free-spirited nature.
Their biggest achievements are not in their studies, but in the way they carry themselves and their compassion within.
Each Tzu Chi left the two-day event full of motivation. They now have their badge of honor to go back to school and inspire more youth to make this world a better place.
Jingsi Bookstore in Beijing has been invited to participate in a health and nutrition exhibition for the second year. Tzu Chi volunteers seized the occasion to promote Jingsi food products and vegetarian meals. We'll leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.